Hey VC, welcome to the channel. I'm Jack. This is Vinyl Martini. As you can see from the title of the video, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to be doing the Linking 20 Records Challenge. I think Ben Rankin has done this. I know Doug Anderson has. I've seen Doug's version of this. I've also seen Mike from MGK Boston's version of it. And Mike actually inspired me to want to do my own version when I got home from my travels, because I was watching it. I saw Mike's video when I was away. So let's get started. It'll soon become apparent what I mean by linking 20 records. First record I'm going to show is the London Howlin' Wolf Sessions. Everybody knows this record. The Wolf went to London and did some sessions with Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, Bill Wyman, Charlie Watts, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, on one of the songs, Phil Upchurch plays bass on Rockin' Daddy, which leads me to my next album, which is a Phil Upchurch record. It's called Darkness, Darkness. Phil Upchurch is not only just a bass player, or not just a bass player, but he's better known as a guitar player. He's a fine jazz and funk guitar player. He does sessions and he has his own solo career. This is a really great album, by the way. It's a double album. It's called Darkness, Darkness. I see it kicking around the bins for cheap. You can get it for less than $10 usually. Highly suggest to do that because it's a great record. But anyways, on this record, Chuck Rainey plays bass guitar. That very, very famous sessions player Chuck Rainey plays bass guitar on that Phil Upchurch record. Well, Chuck Rainey also plays bass guitar on Lowell George's solo album called Thanks, I'll Eat It Here. This was a couple of years in the making. I think 3 years it took him to finish this record. He was deep into his cocaine addiction by then, which ended up killing him, giving him a heart attack, which is very sad. But this is Lowell George's only solo record. Fine effort, nice record. But Fred Tackett plays guitar on this, and Fred Tackett has played on Little Feat records before, and I think he joined Little Feat after Lowell George died. And Fred Tackett plays on Bob Dylan's Shot of Love, his 1981 album. Fine record, actually. I think it's the third in his religious trilogy, I guess, recorded in 1981. And on the last song of the album, I think it's the last song. No, not the last song of the album. I'm wrong. But on Heart of Mine, Ronnie Wood plays lead guitar on the track. Heart of Mine is probably one of the better tracks on this record as well. But Ronnie Wood did his own solo record called I've Got My Own Album to Do in 1974. And there's a funny story about this. He had just joined, I don't think he'd officially been asked to join the Stones, but he was recording Black and Blue with the Stones, I think. And maybe It's Only Rock and, well, hold on. It must have been It's Only Rock and Roll, because Ronnie Wood actually co-wrote the song It's Only Rock and Roll with Mick Jagger. And Mick Jagger co-wrote the song I Can Feel the Fire, which is on this record. It's a really good song. And he convinced Ronnie that if he would give Jagger sole credit for writing It's Only Rock and Roll, Jagger would give Ronnie Wood sole credit for writing I Can Feel the Fire. And I think maybe Mick got the better of that deal. But anyways, fine record. Most of the Rolling Stones runners, Rod Stewart's on here. It's a great cast of characters, but I'm not here to extol extol this record. What I'm going to try to do is get to the next record, and Willie Weeks plays bass on this record. Willie Weeks is a fantastic bass player. I think he plays for the Stones now, doesn't he? And let me check my notes. Plays bass. And Willie Weeks also plays bass on Boz Scaggs' album Memphis. This is a 2013 release. Fine record. Let me check my notes here so I don't get confused. And this was recorded at Royal Studios in Memphis, and Steve Jordan was the producer, which leads me to my next record. This is a fine record, by the way. Fine Boz Scaggs record. Leads me to my next record, which is Keith Richards' solo record, Talk is Cheap. A double whammy on this one because Steve Jordan co-produces this and plays on this as well. Great outing by Keith Richards. If you don't have this Keith Richards record, you should if you love the Rolling Stones. This is probably better than most of the Rolling Stones records that they've released in the last 40 years. And leading me to my next record, Waddy Wachtel played on 8 of the tracks here. Waddy Wachtel is a California-based session guitar player, very, very well known. And Waddy Wachtel played on Bryan Ferry's The Bride Stripped Bare. The Bride Stripped Bare was his, I'm thinking about his 4th solo album or maybe 5th solo album. Bryan Ferry solo records are cheap. You can find them in the cheapy bins any day of the week for $2, $5, $7, and they're always primo material. Highly recommended. But Bryan Ferry recorded this album in Mountain Studios in Switzerland. Mountain Studios is where it's in Montreux, I think, and it's where they use the mobile to record all the jazz performances at the Montreux Jazz Festival. And another album that was recorded at Mountain Studios was David Bowie's Lodger. Everybody knows this one. Don't need to talk about this. Another great outing by David Bowie. But this album was co-produced by none other than Tony Visconti. Another production deal with David Bowie. And Tony Visconti was the producer on one of the songs for the Strawbs' Brave New World. This is probably the Strawbs' best record. Beautiful artwork by William Blake on it. And I'm getting lost here. I almost forgot. This was recorded at Morgan Studios in London. And the Kinks also recorded Lola versus the Power Man and The Money Ground Part 1 at Morgan Studios. It's one of my favorite Kinks records. Show that. And on this record is one of my favorite Kinks songs, and it's called Top of the Pops. Great song. And the first band, I should explain, Top of the Pops is an English rock show where bands would go in and lip sync to their songs and promote their music. And the first band that was shown on Top of the Pops lip syncing their song was the Rolling Stones, and they were doing I Want to Be Your Man. That song that was penned by Lennon and McCartney, and I think Lennon and McCartney did their own. The Beatles did their own version of I Want to Be Your Man. I think they did a better job of it than the Rolling Stones did. But that got me thinking about people that did Rolling Stones covers. And one of my favorite artists is Johnny Winter. And he does a great, this is his album Still Alive and Well from 1973. Yeah, 73. Still Alive and Well, and he does a cover version of the Stones' Let It Bleed on here. Flip it over. I've got 2 pages of notes here, folks. And the technical advisor on this is Bill. I never know how to pronounce his name. Just give me a second here. Simsek, Bill Simsek. Well known. He used to be an engineer and ended up being a producer. He is credited as being the technical advisor, meaning he was probably right behind the board and doing a lot of the production with Rick Derringer. Anyways, one of Bill Simnick's produced albums was Jay Giles' first album, The Morning After. That's a great record, very, very gritty R&B, rock and roll, 1971. This was recorded at the record plant in New York. And Patti Smith's album, Radio Ethiopia, was also recorded at the record plant in New York. This is another fine record. Patti Smith I don't think she's ever recorded a bad album. I've got about 6 or 7 of them, and whenever I see one that I don't have on vinyl, I always try to grab it. But anyways, she gives special thanks to Alan Lanier, or Lanier. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but Alan Lanier, from the album Blue Oyster Cult's first record. Great first outing, great cover work. Don't have to talk about this album. This, my buddy Steve from All the World's a Stage, big Blue Oyster Cult fan. And this was produced by Sandy Pearlman. Sandy Pearlman was picked to produce The Clash's second album, Give 'Em Enough Rope. They recorded this in LA. The band was never very happy with this. This is certainly a departure from their first record, and it's more of a classic rock album. It's a fantastic record. I don't think they didn't like it. I don't know if they played any of these songs in concert. If you're a Clash fan and you know if they did, please let me know in the comments below. But anyways, let me just see where we're going with this. Oh, Joe Strummer, of course, is the lead singer and guitar player and writer for The Clash. Not sole writer, but main writer, I would say. And Joe Strummer did a version with the Mescaleros of a song on this record, a great version of the song called A Message to You, Rudy. This is the Specials' first record. If you see this in the bargain bins all the time as well. This is a fantastic record. Ska record, British ska record, two-tone. Fantastic record. And leading me up to my next album. We're getting close, folks. We only got a couple to go. This was produced by Elvis Costello. This is Elvis Costello's second record. This year's model. Fantastic second effort with his own band this time. The Attractions. And this is going to get a little tricky. This is a little bit of a stretch for my next record, but I'm just going to have to read this. On June the 30th to July the 3rd in 1994, Costello appeared on a bill at the Roskilde Festival in Denmark with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Radiohead, Aerosmith, The Prodigy, Bjork, ZZ Top, Ben Harper, Rage Against the Machine, Yo La Tengo, amongst others. Plus this artist here, which is my last album, my last record I'm going to show. Peter Gabriel, this is his first record. And this also ties in to my first record that I showed, Howlin' Wolf, because this was partially recorded at Olympic Studios in London when that studio was still open. So there you have it, 20 records all linked up. That was a lot of fun. There's a lot of work. It took me a couple hours yesterday to go through my records and do some Googling and trying to fit them all together. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to get back to showing my vinyl finds from Europe in my next couple of videos. So look out for that. Thanks for watching. If you got any comments, please comment below. I am going to leave links to Ben's, Mike's, and Doug's channels in my description. If you haven't subscribed to them, why don't you think about doing it? Those channels are excellent. So till the next time, cheers, guys.